Good morning, friends. Let's go to the garden today. I want to show you what I've got growing in my square foot garden, my new raised beds, and my in-ground garden. It's probably about, 8:15 in the morning. The sun isn't quite over the garden yet, so it's still nice and shaded. And I've got my coffee, I've got my basket because we're going to harvest a few things while we're out there. And I think we're ready to go. All right, and I will see you in the garden. Okay, friends, so here I am in front of one of my new raised beds. We just put this in this year. It is made of cedar. We have a friend who owns his own mill, and he had this wood for us. It is about 8 inches deep, and it is a 4x8 bed. Daisy, no. She's eating my sweet potato vines. No, ma'am, that is not okay. And you can't have my coffee either. Okay, so in here, no, thank you. You're a good girl. No, no. In this bed, we also have a friend who has a farm close by, and he brings barn clean out or feedlot clean out each year, because our soil here in mid-Missouri on this particular piece of property is not good. It's very shallow soil, and then you get down to just rocky, it's just rocks. There is soil in it, but it is so hard to dig through. Our first garden here was in a different location, and we had such a hard time getting anything to grow. And so we decided then we needed to bring in dirt. And so our friend Mike, he brings in the barn stuff for us. Now, with it coming from a farm where cows feed, it does have a lot of weeds in it. It has a lot of clover, and so I do have to spend some time weeding, but that's okay. I have taken precautions in the big in-ground garden to help with that. So here behind me I have cauliflower, and this is my very first time being successful with cauliflower. I'm so excited. I also put in a row of marigolds, and then in front of the marigolds are some carrots, which I had pretty sparse germination with the carrots. And there is so much food in this raised bed. So one thing I'm going to do while you guys are here with me, I should have brought my little knee pad thing. I'm going to harvest my very first cauliflower. And so I just brought out a kitchen knife. It could get bigger, but I will pair that with some other vegetables, and it will be the perfect size for my husband and I to have for dinner tonight. But what I'm also going to do is I'm going to harvest the entire stalk, and I'll explain why. All right, cut that off of there. So each of these leaves are also edible, and I like to dehydrate vegetable leaves like cauliflower, broccoli, kale. No, Miss Sassy, you can't have my coffee either. And cabbage leaves. I dehydrate those, and then I powder them, and I'm able to add those to different dishes that I cook. I am not able to digest these really tough, they're not tough, these type of leaves. So for example, lettuces, I can only have leaf lettuce. I cannot do iceberg lettuce. I can't do Napa cabbage. It's just something with my system, I'm not able to digest that. So I can add these powdered greens to my dishes and still get those great nutrients that I would get eating them fresh or even cooked. So now some of these leaves you can see have bug damage. I have pulled out several of those pesky little caterpillars out of here. Those leaves with bug damage I won't be using. If there's a tiny bit of bug damage, I'll just cut around it. But I'm excited. Sassy, don't knock my camera over. I'm excited to harvest our first, okay. I gotta get Sassy out of the chair that's behind. She's behind the camera. Sassy girl. Yeah. You want your time on camera? Looky here. There's Miss Sassy. You just had to have that chair, didn't you? Silly girl. Okay. So as we go down, I'm gonna move my camera. Okay, I had to move my camera. Miss Sassy took over the chair, knocked my camera over, and so I'm going to turn the camera now, and I want to show you what else is in this raised bed, and then we'll move over to the containers and the raised bed where I am experimenting with square foot gardening. So let's turn this around. There we go. Okay, so there's a good shot of the cauliflower. I think I have 8 or 10 cauliflower plants in there. I also have some sweet banana peppers here in this bed. Most of the peppers I started from seeds. The sweet banana peppers I did not. Here behind the sweet banana peppers I have a ground cherry. Oh, I can get down there. Some grass coming up in there too. So I planted 4 of these, and sadly only one has survived. I did put down the straw, trying to keep out some of the weeds and to help with the moisture. And can you see that little plant right there? So this is where I had my potato bed last year in ground. And I've had volunteer potatoes come up in the raised beds. And onions come up elsewhere, and I'll show you those. Here are some of my containers. These all have potatoes in them. And they were just potatoes I had in the pantry that sprouted, and I went ahead and planted them, and they're doing really well. They're starting to bloom. Now let's come down to the square foot garden. So another 4 by 8 foot raised bed made with cedar. It is also 8 inches deep with the barn clean out or the feedlot clean out. This end here I have radishes. There is so much food in this square foot garden bed, my goodness. So the radishes, they were called an Easter egg variety. They were old seeds. I didn't think they were going to germinate, and so I put them in really heavy, and I think they all came up, and now they're even starting to bolt. But I saw on Roots and Refuge, if you leave your radishes to bolt, they get these little seed pods, which I don't see any yet, but those seed pods are edible. And so I'm going to let a few of these go ahead and bolt, go to seed, and I will both collect seeds, but I also want to try to eat them and see what they taste like. So all of these radishes are going to be harvested today, except for the ones that are bolting, and I'll put something else in there. A friend gifted me with some tomato plants, some more, 2 different kinds of tomato plants, and then also watermelon and cantaloupe. And so I'll probably put a couple of the tomato plants here where the radishes are. I also have bachelor buttons that have a few buds right there. Those are edible flowers. I don't know if I'll eat them or not, but I am going to enjoy them. Some more marigolds. Here I've got some beets and some kale, some calendula, another edible flower, but it can also be used for making soaps and salves. I have not tried any of that, but I would like to. Celery. Oh, I'm going to show you this. So, lots of weeds, lots of clover, but these little hair-like plants, that's actually leeks. Throughout both of these garden beds, I have planted more than 100 leeks. And I never imagined they would, that they would do that well. My first time planting leeks, but I think that they're going to make it. And so I'm excited to see how they do. I need to come through here with my gloves on and do some weeding. And normally I don't like to use gloves, but some of these weeds that come out of the barn lot have thorns, and they hurt when you grab them. So I will be using my gloves to weed these. All right, so then I have some carrots. Get you over there. Some more onions, more calendula. Ooh, I want to show you this. Get the camera turned back around. So I have seen some people on YouTube top their carrots. Now, I have no idea if this is going to do anything for my carrots. So I only topped half of them because I don't want to destroy my entire crop of carrots if this is actually going to be hurtful more than helpful. But they said if you top your carrots about 6 inches up from the ground, then the energy goes back into the bulb rather than into the greens. So we'll see how it works. I then took the greens and laid them down in between the rows and used that as some mulch. Good morning. Neighbors passing by. I also have some pepper plants, yes, these are pepper plants. Get a little shot of the neighbors. I live in Mennonite country, and so they often go by with their horse and buggies. These are peppers. Sadly, they're getting sunburnt, and so I think I'm going to come out with some kind of contraption to cover them up and keep them from getting burnt. So we have more carrots, and here's some of those volunteer potatoes. We'll see how they do. Here are the onions I did not top. More potatoes, more celery, more beets. There is a sweet banana pepper hidden down inside there. I don't know how it's going to do because it's pretty shaded. Once I take out all of these radishes, that will help. But the onions and the sunflower is still shading it, so I don't know. The sunflower actually came up out here in the yard, and I transplanted it, put it into the raised bed. We'll see how it does. Here's my potato containers again. Some of those onions that came up from last year. And more marigolds. We're back into the cauliflower. And then I have some kale coming up underneath there. It's pretty shaded. I'm probably going to harvest a lot of that today and start dehydrating. More leeks. And then in these two grow bags, which you can see right over here, Daisy pulled that one up. I'm going to have to put it back in. They need to be watered. Those are sweet potato slips that I just put out yesterday. Okay, so this is the area that, this is our in-ground garden. We've had this in-ground space, although we have expanded twice. Let's see, this is my third season, I think, growing in this in-ground garden. I told my daughter this end down here is the pot roast section because I've got carrots and beans and potatoes, and that just sounds delicious in a pot roast. I also have some beets. I have more sunflowers. I've plugged in sunflowers and zinnias and calendula and borage just anywhere that I can. My tomato row, I started each one of those tomatoes by seed. I have lost 2 plants, which I have, sorry, my camera's wobbly. Let's see if I can tighten that up. I have restarted those 2. One was a yellow pear and one was a sun gold. And so I'm hopeful that I can get them started and have enough growing season to get some tomatoes. Our growing season is about 6 months long, and so hopefully I will be able to make that happen. Had to get a little creative with my tomato trellises, or my tomato cages. I use cages. Keeps the deer out and from eating my tomatoes. Helps a little bit with squirrels, but the birds can still get in there. Then I have my pepper row, and again, I started all of these peppers from seed, and I know that peppers don't necessarily have to be supported with cages, but Daisy likes to lay in the garden, and she does not care if she lays on top of a plant or not. So I cage my peppers. Again, I ran out of cages, so I need to get some more, and hopefully I can keep her from squishing the plants. She squishes them, and then Sassy comes along and fertilizes them, so we'll see. I've got sugar snap peas, and I'm so excited that my sugar snap peas are blooming. So I'm hopeful that I will have peas soon. I love snacking on sugar snap peas. My husband likes to take them in his lunch. Just love having them in the garden. Didn't have any last year, and so I'm excited to have them back this year. Cucumbers. So the trellises, of course, have things that will trellis. Had a terrible cucumber year last year. I'm hoping that this year it'll be better. I have some more cucumbers started on the other side. Hopefully those will come up soon and be a few weeks behind these. Sassy girl, what are you doing? You wanting some attention? So here you can see the volunteer sunflowers coming up in the middle. I've got volunteer zinnias, volunteer pumpkins. There's a few volunteer tomatoes. These last two trellises, along with the sunflower that's coming up right there, have dry beans. And so I love growing my own dry beans, but that means I can't pick any of them throughout the season. I just have to plant them and let them go. And so I have black beans and I have pinto beans. And so I will let those grow up on the trellises. They'll get up to the top. They'll cross over. I have them on the other side also, so they'll cross over this way. And then in the fall, when the plants die back and the bean, Sassy, look out. The bean pods completely dry, then I'll pull them off the plant. I can then shell them and put them in storage, and I can either can them as dry beans, or I can just keep them dry on the shelf and use them however I wish. Oh man, Scott did some weed eating last night and he took out a sunflower. Okay, so I have some zucchini right here that is really, really struggling. Can you see that in there? So sad. I've got some more started on the porch in my little seed cups. Try to get some more going. I love when this tunnel becomes completely covered with plants. It's shady and cool inside there, although there's lots of spider webs. I don't like that part. And it's just a good place to hang out. The cat and the dog like to hang out in there too. So I talked earlier about I did some things to help with weeding. I have laid down cardboard. I recycled some of my weed fabric I used last year, and then I put straw on top of that. I'm hoping that that will help with weeds and grass. This entire end of the garden is things that will sprawl. So pumpkins and gourds. I've got some patty pan squash in there, which really don't sprawl that much, but they get big. Their plant is big. I've got okra, which I know does not sprawl, but it'll grow really tall. And what else? Oh, watermelon and cantaloupe. And so I've got more watermelon and cantaloupe up there that needs to be planted that was gifted to me. This is okra. There's a lot of volunteer okra coming up in the garden too. But this was from a pod that dried on the plant at the end of last season. And I opened it up. I kept it all winter. I opened it up and it was full of seeds. And so I do need to thin this out, especially that clump right there. I need to thin it out, and we will have okra. This okra last year got to be about 9 feet tall. I had to get a step stool to be able to pick the very top pieces. Another volunteer sunflower. I'm excited about this one. This is a, where's it at? There it is. Blue Hubbard squash. First time growing that one. I've got Cinderella pumpkins. That is a clump of volunteer pumpkins. Have no idea what kind. Came up from last year. I did thin that clump some and put them elsewhere in the garden. But those pieces that I have moved, some of them have not survived. Okay, let's go on down here. I've got, I think this one, this is either cantaloupe or watermelon. I can't remember which one. I think cantaloupe. and then come on down further. And so if that one is cantaloupe, then this one is watermelon, or the other way around. And there's one of those little weeds with thorns. Okay, here are my patty pan squash. And over on this trellis, opposite from the sugar snap peas, I have honey nut gourds. No, honey nut squash. And those are so delicious. They are a smaller, sweeter version of a butternut. And oh my gosh, I had so many. I shared and shared and shared. These are let's see, what are they called? I think they're called bottleneck gourds, or maybe just bottle gourds. I've grown them before, and they're a lot of fun. People make birdhouses out of them and paint them into snowmen and things like that. They're not edible. They are decorative. I go to some craft shows in the fall, and I thought I might be able to take some. People might want to purchase them from me and then be able to make something out of them later. And then on this next trellis is a bushel basket gourd. I've never grown that one, although I've tried. And this year it's actually coming up, so I'm excited about that. And we'll see how it goes. I don't know if my trellises can handle the weight of those, because they can be quite big, but we'll see. And so I want to show you one more thing down here at the main garden, and then I'll show you a few more pieces. These are my berry bushes. I'm so excited. They have come back and multiplied this year. I have raspberries that are, oh, look. I have berries starting to form, and they're starting to ripen. I'm so excited. They are so delicious. And then this big tall one is a thornless blackberry, and it makes gigantic berries. They come on later. You can see that the blooms have started to fall away, and so little berries will start to form. Super. Over here, I don't know if you can see it in the camera. Maybe if I get really close. Okay, so this is where I planted my asparagus, and I thought it had all died. So we've just been mowing it over, and look, my husband found sprouts this year, so I'm excited about that. Down here we have peach trees, 2 tiny little cherry trees, and then this year we've put in 2 new apple trees, and so I'm very excited about that. We put in a Honeycrisp and a Fuji. That was my Mother's Day gift from my husband, so it was very sweet. I'll give you an overview. There's Daisy in the road. Good grief, Daisy. Sassy's in the tunnel. All right, so I'm excited about this year's garden. I've already had some failures. Like I said, I've lost some tomato plants. I've already been dealing with weeds, but overall, I'm very happy about my garden, and I'm proud of my garden. I work hard out here. I come out here, I'm usually out here by 8. I should be out here earlier, but I like to sit and drink my coffee first, or at least 1 cup, and then I bring a cup out with me. And so I usually, can you see Sassy? There she is. So I usually come out about 8, make sure I take care of the chickens first. I bring my breakfast out here with me. I've got a granola bar up there in my basket. And I'm usually out here till about 10:30 or 11. And I just keep working until I am out of shade. So I don't do well in the hot sun. I wilt. So I work as hard as I can in those few hours, and then I go do stuff inside or up close to the house where it's still shaded. One thing I need to do today, I'm going to harvest those radishes. I'm going to get my kale and my cauliflower leaves into the dehydrator. Then I'm going to, or not then, but while I'm out here, I have one more soaker hose to put in down here at the pumpkins. I'm 2 rows short of having enough soaker hose, so I did go purchase another one. I'll get that out here. And I think that's it. I have some more planting to do. Like I said, I have those tomato plants that were gifted to me, the watermelon and the cantaloupe. I'm just not completely sure where I'm going to put them yet. I have more grow bags, but I don't have any more potting mix. So I may have to go get another bag or two of potting mix to be able to do those, if I decide to put them in grow bags. If not, well, I know I'm going to put a couple where I'm going to take out all those radishes up here, and that will give me room for at least 2 tomatoes. And I don't know where I'm going to put the rest. We'll figure it out. So there is another garden I want to show you. It's a garden I've been working on all 3 years that we've lived here. I'm hoping this year to be able to finish it, but we'll see. So I'm not gonna make you walk with me with the camera jiggling, so I'm gonna shut this off. See you in a second. Okay, so this is a flower bed or garden bed that is in the center of our circle drive. And so I have been working on getting some perennials planted in here, but the periwinkle, which is beautiful in the spring when it blooms, it's invasive and it has absolutely taken over. And I can show you on this other side. I don't know why my camera is still jiggly. My tripod's not tight enough, I guess. On this side, I have not got to yet. It is smothering out my hostas. It's smothering out other things, and I'm just really aggravated with it. So I have been working on putting down cardboard and wood chips. The electric company came through earlier this winter and chipped all the trees over on my neighbor's property, and he has given me full reign to those chips. So I have been working on with my little garden cart. I go over with the four-wheeler, I fill it up, and I come back. And so this is something else I need to finish this spring. I want to completely cover with cardboard and wood chips, but even with the wood chips and cardboard, you can see like right there, it's still coming up through the chips. So one person suggested I pour hot salt water on there. That might kill it out, but I'm going to have to be very careful because I don't want to kill out what I've put in there. And then you can see my green stalk in the middle. I love this green stalk. Now, it looks a little sad right now because I have recently pulled out all of my lettuce greens and my spinach. It was starting to bolt because it's getting too hot for those. And I've put in some onions, flowers. I think that's it right now. I think it's just onions and flowers right now. I'm not sure if I'm going to put anything else edible in there for right now. I may just do flowers for the summer. I've got a couple different clumps of irises. This clump here I moved here with. I was able to bring those with me when we moved. I've got purple coneflower, and again, because of cat and dog, I have them covered. There's a little red bud tree coming up in here I need to take out. Most of these stepping stones were here on the property when we moved in, and I've just been finding them different places and bringing them up here. I've got a clump of sedum there in front of Sassy. This beautiful stump, I love trees. I love tree stumps. I think there is so much beauty in the grain of the wood, and then even when it has died and it is decaying, to me that is gorgeous. And so I've planted a few flowers around that. This azalea bush is gorgeous in the spring when it blooms, but in the summer it's a beautiful green foliage backdrop. So this is my next project to finish this garden bed up. I actually have another garden bed in the back corner of the property I'm calling my wood garden. We have found some really neat things back there. It also has been completely taken over by, not Star of Bethlehem, Lily of the Valley, which is beautiful. it smells delightful when it's blooming, but then when it's not blooming, it's green foliage, which is gorgeous, but again, it has taken over and is smothering out some beautiful hostas and some irises. And so a few weeks ago, we went back and mowed all of that lily of the valley down so that we could see what was there. We're pulling out some of the red bud starts that have started back there, going to transplant them different places. We did leave some red buds. We left a couple tiny dogwoods. And so later when I get to work on that garden, I will show that to you. But it also, we found handmade concrete stepping stones with little handprints in them. And so the neighbor thinks that the previous owners, that was probably their grandchildren, and they're in a circle around what we think might have been a fire pit. And so I'm going to, and they're partially buried right now, but I'm going to dig all those up, give them a good washing. I want to make a walking path through that garden with cardboard and wood chips, and lay out those stepping stones. And it's not that I want to change that garden. I want to manage what's there and just make it beautiful and functional again. And so after I get the circle drive done, then I'll work on that one. And then it'll be time to do some in-the-house projects like washing windows and mopping floors. Not that I don't already do those things, which I don't do very often, but I'm going to utilize this beautiful weather as much as I can before I am stuck in the house when it's too hot or too sunny for me to be out here. So I'm excited to get these gardens finished. We've been here for 3 years. It's time to get these finished and functional. And so it's a good thing. And I have lots of flower pots. My herbs this year, with the exception of a couple that are here in this circle drive, let me go around, maybe I can show you where. I have some out here. I'm losing my shades. I'm trying to keep you guys out of the sun. I've got this wash tub. I'm sorry for the sun and the shadow. That is chamomile. It was the whole tub planted with chamomile, and only those 2 plants survived. But I did buy some more starts this last weekend to put in there to fill it back up. Those 2 I started from seeds. And then over here I've got some chives, lots of zinnias, but I'm going to go over here in the shade. Most of my herbs I've got up on the porch. I'll give you a sneak peek in there. So all across the front here are pots of different herbs and flowers. I did start a strawberry tower, which is so sad. These plants were bare root strawberries. Once I got them home and gave them a little bit of water, they leafed out beautifully. And then I planted them and they wilted. And so I am hopeful that I will be able to I'm just going to keep watering, keep watching, and maybe they will come back up from the crown. Oh my gosh, I hope so. I was successful with strawberries at our other house, and then this house, not so much. So I'm going to keep trying. We're definitely in a different, I don't want to say climate, but here we're on top of a hill. And our other house, we were in a valley between 2 really big hills. And so the weather pattern, maybe not the weather pattern, it gets hot here earlier in the day than it did at that house. And we certainly don't have as much shade at this house as we did there. And I think it's because of the difference between valley and hill. Over here, I have, show you through the posts on the porch. Those are the plants that were gifted to me. So I need to get those in the ground and ready to go. All right, friends. I'm losing my shade. I've got to get that soaker hose out, get those radishes harvested, and then I'm probably going in the house because it's just getting hot. And like I said, I wilt in the heat and in the sun. So I hope that you found this video inspiring. Maybe you'll decide to grow something. If you're already growing, leave me some pictures and some comments about your garden or about your containers, whatever it is that you're growing in. If you're not growing anything yet, I encourage you to try to grow something, even if it is, I don't know, marigolds or zinnias or some lettuce or spinach, just something. Get your hands in the dirt and grow something. If you enjoyed my videos, I ask you to please go to YouTube and subscribe to my channel, Halfway Homestead. And you can click the notification bell, and that would let you know when I have uploaded new videos. I do garden and cooking videos. I keep saying one of these days I'm going to do a sewing video. Maybe this summer. We'll see. I'm fairly new to this YouTube stuff, so we'll see how it goes. But like my videos, please. Click that little like button. Share my videos. I want to get as many subscribers as I possibly can, and just share my love of gardening and my love of cooking, and we can garden and cook together. So I pray you have a good day and happy gardening. Bye, friends.